Hi, we're Chris and Ashley. We are a marriage surviving sexual addiction and infidelity. We wanted to go over a question that is asked very frequently whenever we talk about our situation, and that is all about intimacy and our intimate life, and how are you guys intimate after all this came out and everything. Well, so one of the things that we wanted to discuss is basically what we've learned through our journey, because for Chris, and I'll let him speak to this, but for him growing up, his understanding of sexual intimacy, it was very skewed because of pornography and everything that it had affected in his brain. And for me, I don't feel like it was very openly discussed in my home, and what was discussed was probably a little bit very vague, very, confusing. So it's something that I think a lot of my generation, a lot of my girlfriends talk about this. We just didn't really talk about it in our homes. And so I didn't really know what to expect in marriage, and I didn't really have anything to understand of what a healthy, intimate relationship looked like. I don't think I ever really knew what it was. And we kind of have come up with a formula that has been extremely helpful for our marriage and our intimate connection. And that is, there's 3 connections that we have to have. And one of those connections is physical, a physical connection, which for me, I feel like is the easiest one, because obviously if you're married, you're probably attracted to one another, and just knowing what one another likes, or things like that, that part has been rather easy. Then the next 2 are the ones that are a lot more difficult, and ones that I didn't understand were missing, and if they were present in the relationship, just how connected you can feel. And so the second one is an emotional connection. Now, again, and I'll let him speak to that, emotionally connecting for an addict is extremely difficult. It's just not something that happens very well. And I'm an over communicator. I could communicate with a lamp, honestly. And so maybe I over communicated for both of us sometimes, I think. And so I didn't realize there was so much emotional connection missing, because he still was able to talk to me. He did all kinds of different things. And so it was very hard to detect that there was such a lack of an emotional connection between us. And again, I'll let him speak to that. But developing that is a hard thing. And I think the thing that goes along with that is selfishness. Addicts they can develop a selfish tendency of their connection, of their intimacy and what they want. But we all have selfishness, all of us, and that is something that, to be emotionally connected, I have to step outside of myself a lot. We have to put one another first. We have to not be selfish, and that helps with the emotional connection. So that's what that looks like. Communication is huge, and again, that's just something that has always been very easy for me, so I'd like him to talk about that, because it's not been easy for him. And the third one is a spiritual connection, whether you're a religious person or not, just kind of whatever really binds your relationship together. For us, we are religious people, and so by being connected through praying together and going to church together and scripture study and things like that, those are a huge part of being spiritually connected. And when we have all 3, the physical connection, the emotional connection, and the spiritual connection, funny enough, after this all came out, it's a way more connecting, intimate relationship, one that I didn't realize we were missing out on so badly, and that I didn't realize how unhealthy it was before, because I had nothing to compare it to, and I just didn't really know what was what. So those are the 3 that I wish I would have known about. I wish that I would have known you needed some major connection in your relationship, and I wish I knew what a healthy relationship look like? And that would take like an entire seminar, I think, of a healthy, intimate connection. But that is probably the main points that I've gotten out of this. So before it was unhealthy, I didn't really know it. Now it's a lot more healthy through communication and sacrifice and putting one another first and having those three connections. That's what has made it an actual much closer, intimate connection with one another. But
yeah, I think certainly the intimacy factor is, for an addict, it's completely relearning. You know, Ashley mentioned, you know, she might not have just not known, you know, about 3 levels and what that takes and what intimacy is. And that's the same for me, except that it was also a complete erasing of what, you know, what I trained my mind to believe intimacy was for years and years and years through what I was viewing, because that does very much distort the thinking and creates false sense of what this is meant to be. You know, from a physical standpoint, yes, very physically attracted to Ashley, but the pornography teaches you things physically that on an intimate level between a husband and a wife who love each other, that aren't the connecting things, aren't the things that bring us together, aren't the things that make that a wonderful connecting experience. From the emotional level, you know, 2 things again that pornography did is, you know, we can say it's a guy thing because yes, guys may not communicate as well as women, but especially as an addict, you know, everything I did was secret. So I didn't know how to talk about my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. And so not allowing Ashley to be really a part of the inner me kept us emotionally distant. Although she would connect with me, you know, share with me, you know, both for me unable to express, but also in a lot of ways be unable to be there for her emotionally as well. And then the other thing is the pornography really makes intimacy seem like it's simple, easy, anytime, there's no work involved, it's just, and that's what was wired in my brain. It was just this aspect of a need for connection, a need for work and involvement that goes into it that didn't exist. And so learning about the need for connecting, working, putting her needs before my own was a major thing that had to be learned. And especially now, after all the damage that's been done, the intimacy requires a lot of compassion, or empathy, maybe is the better word on my part, an understanding of why, you know, Ashley might not be always up for that connection, that intimacy, and that's because of the damage that takes place. And so, you know, for addicts out there who've, you know, inflicted this damage upon a spouse, needs to be understanding of there's a lot of work that needs to go into this. A lot of empathy has to be learned, developed, and put forth. And then the spiritual connection, it's necessary to be one in all these, for it to be intimacy to be what it's truly meant to be. And through us working on those things, it has been remarkable. It's been so much more than, you know, I ever envisioned, you know, kind of trained myself to believe it's supposed to be, because it's been real and it's been wonderful and it's been connecting and it's been exactly what it's supposed to be. And it isn't always. It's work. It is a continuous progress. But it's just that. It's love and it's sacrifice and it's working together.
Thank you.